A courtroom filled with tension, shocking testimonies, and bombshell revelations, because that's exactly what's on the horizon for Sean Diddy Combs. What will happen when one of the biggest music moguls in the world faces prosecutors armed with damning evidence and a lineup of fearless witnesses? Will Diddy's empire crumble under the weight of these allegations, or will his high-powered legal team pull off a miracle? This trial isn't just about Diddy. It's about holding power accountable and exposing the dark underbelly of an industry that has thrived on silence. Prosecutors are coming in strong with electronic records, financial trails, and testimonies that could redefine justice in Hollywood. High-profile figures like Jay-Z and former insiders like Gene Deal are rumored to take the stand. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the drama is already unfolding behind closed doors. In today's video, we'll break down every key moment to expect in this high-stakes trial, from how the prosecution plans to dismantle Diddy's defense to the explosive revelations that could change everything. Stick with us, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how this trial could set a precedent for celebrity accountability. Let's dive in.
There's really no deal that the U.S. Attorney's Office can offer, and it's certainly not one that Diddy will accept. It would involve decades in federal prison. We're talking about mandatory minimum sentences of 10 years for both the drug charges and the sex trafficking. So we know that Diddy has fought charges before. There were state charges, there were gun-related, the nightclub shooting with J-Lo, but he's going to dig in his heels, and this case is going to trial. So if you're prosecutors, you really want to make sure that your evidence is bulletproof before you go down that route.
The opening statement, setting the stage. The trial kicks off with an electrifying opening statement as prosecutors seize the opportunity to frame the narrative. They highlight the gravity of the charges against Sean Diddy Combs, a music mogul whose influence once seemed untouchable. By meticulously outlining the cases and importance, they aim to establish accountability for high-profile figures often shielded by wealth and status. The prosecution emphasizes the systemic abuse of power, positioning this case as a pivotal moment for celebrity justice. To bolster their credibility, prosecutors detail the years of investigation that culminated in a mountain of evidence. They present a clear narrative, weaving together incidents of alleged coercion, misconduct, and victim silencing. This is not merely a trial of one man, but an examination of an entire culture that enabled such behavior to thrive. To humanize the proceedings, they bring victim stories to the forefront, shedding light on their courage and confronting fear and intimidation to seek justice.
Why is that not a fair outcome?
What he did here is on a magnitude of unlike anybody else you could imagine. A week after those public searches were televised, he gave us his passport. His children gave us his passport. He then paid off the mortgage entirely on his Miami home, $18 million. It's instructive that he's gonna have a bail package ready so that if he was arrested, he would have something ready so that he could get out the next day and show the judge he's taking this very seriously, which he is, which is why 12 days ago, Chris, when we thought there's an indictment that may be coming, he flew to New York the very next day. And that's an extraordinary move for a defendant who's been under investigation that he's been aware of for at least 6 months. He has done everything somebody under investigation can do. I can't think of anything else that he could have done. He's fighting, he's innocent, and he's gonna be able to show it.
The opening statement is also a preemptive strike against the defense. Anticipating arguments of conspiracy or misrepresentation, prosecutors methodically dismantle these claims before they are even raised. They set the tone for the trial, signaling to the jury that this case will uncover the truth behind the glamour and wealth, exposing a hidden reality of abuse and control. The evidence arsenal, tangible proof. Prosecutors unveil an arsenal of compelling evidence, meticulously pieced together to build a damning case. This includes electronic records such as incriminating emails, text messages, and videos that allegedly tie Diddy directly to the charges. Each piece of digital communication paints a detailed picture of systematic manipulation, from witness tampering to efforts to silence victims.
In the meantime, let's go back to New York City. Want to get some updates on the case that is unfolding there regarding Sean Diddy Combs. These were the courtroom sketches just today. We're turning our attention now there, the sex trafficking case against Diddy and the possible resentencing of the Menendez brothers in Los Angeles. We'll get to that in just a moment here, but let's focus our efforts on New York. We want to get to these headlines in both cases, and we're going to do that with our friend Nima Rahmani, former federal prosecutor and legal analyst. He joins us. Nima, good to see you, and thanks for being with us here. You were tweeting about the Diddy case today. There was an emergency hearing.
Financial records reveal a web of transactions, with payments allegedly made to victims and associates to secure their silence. These monetary trails not only corroborate the testimonies of whistleblowers, but also expose the lengths to which Diddy went to maintain his powerful image. Prosecutors argue that these transactions were not acts of generosity, but calculated moves to suppress damaging truths. The prosecution also introduces recorded phone calls as smoking guns. These calls allegedly capture conversations showing intimidation, manipulation, and coercion. In addition, non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, are presented as tools weaponized to suppress victims' voices. Finally, physical evidence, including items and records tied to specific incidents, strengthens the case further. Together, these elements form an overwhelming tapestry of evidence, leaving little room for doubt.
Help me answer that question. And this goes to some of these privacy questions. Does a detainee have any privacy rights while being detained pending trial here? I mean, here on Live Now from Fox, as an employee of Fox television stations, Fox News Media, everything I'm doing right now here on Live Now is owned by Fox. Is that the same when it comes to these privacy rights for Diddy? These notes, does he own them? Does his prosecution or defense team own them? Or does no one own them?
Setting aside the attorney-client privilege, which is the most sacred of the evidentiary privileges, Diddy has absolutely no Fourth Amendment reasonable expectation of privacy in prison, period. His cell can be tossed at any time. Guards can go in. They can monitor his mail. They can record and intercept his phone calls. So he is not like you or I out in the public dealing with law enforcement. Fourth Amendment does not apply. So their Fourth Amendment argument is very, very weak. That's why they're going all in on this attorney-client privilege argument, because really that's one of the few constitutional rights that survives when you're in custody.
Witness testimonies, the core of the case. The heart of the prosecution's case lies in the witnesses who bravely take the stand. Victims recount harrowing experiences, detailing incidents of coercion, threats, and abuse that underscore the gravity of the charges. Their emotional testimonies provide a first-hand glimpse into the alleged misconduct, offering the jury a personal connection to the case. Former employees testified to the behind-the-scenes dynamics of Diddy's infamous freak-off parties. They describe environments rife with exploitation, fear, and manipulation, shedding light on the darker side of the mogul's empire. These accounts provide context and lend credibility to victim testimonies, reinforcing the prosecution's argument of systemic abuse.
Dawn Richard was on the television show Making the Band in the early 2000s, where thousands and thousands of people tried out to be on the show. And she alleges that during the show Making the Band, that she and the others were subjected to horrendous conditions. They weren't allowed to eat. They weren't allowed to sleep. They were locked in places and not allowed to leave. They were subjected to all kinds of gender comments, calling them names, insulting them. She alleges that she was groped and grabbed by Sean Combs, that she witnessed him physically assaulting other women, that he restrained her, locked her into cars and other places, falsely imprisoned her. And it was just a really terrifying experience for her. She says that when she tried to speak out on behalf of other women who he was abusing in her presence, she was threatened.
Industry insiders, including figures like Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal, deliver damning insights into the culture of fear that surrounded Diddy's empire. Their revelations not only support the victim's claims, but also expose the mechanisms of control and silence within the entertainment industry. High-profile celebrities are also expected to testify, adding further drama and depth to the proceeding.
I would expect his side to fight it for a while, but eventually we are entitled to it. Every party to a case, he's a party to the case, has to sit for a deposition, and the rules apply to Sean Combs. Apparently he's lived his whole life thinking that they don't, but they do, and he's going to find that out in the course of our case.
Well, we put Lisa Bloom's claims to Sean Combs via his lawyers, particularly with regards to the Dawn Richard case. And we got a statement back from Erica Wolf, who is representing him, who said, Mr. Combs is shocked and disappointed by this lawsuit. In an attempt to rewrite history, Dawn Richard has now manufactured a series of false claims, all in the hopes of trying to get a payday, conveniently timed to coincide with her album release and press tour. It's unfortunate that Miss Richard has cast their 20-year friendship aside tried to try and get money from him. But Mr. Combs is confidently standing on truth and looks forward to proving that in court. Look, these civil cases are continuing at a pace, but as is the criminal case as well. He is due, his representatives are due in court tomorrow for another pre-trial hearing with regards to the criminal case, with a view, it's thought, to that criminal case coming to trial, it's thought, in May.
Cross-examination tactics. Breaking the defense. Prosecutors employ aggressive cross-examination tactics to systematically dismantle the defense's case. They highlight contradictions in the testimony of defense witnesses, exposing inconsistencies that weaken their credibility. Every point raised by the defense is met with sharp questions designed to unravel their argument.
You said the police were working with you on this case. You wanted to get the report. We talked about this. You said things were going smoothly, but now it's not. So when did that change?
Last night, actually, I got an email from them, the county, not the city police, that then said I needed a subpoena to get the records, which I think we all know about Freedom of Information Act, which requires a public information be given freely. That's why it's a federal law. So I've never experienced in any situation where I have been told I needed a subpoena to get public information. I was floored, I was shocked, and it was apparent to me that some type of cover-up is going on. The Orinda police are in violation of federal law, and I will make sure if they want to be the next facing a lawsuit, they can be the next.
The prosecution strategically links witness testimonies to the digital and physical evidence presented earlier. This ensures a seamless narrative, showing how each piece of evidence corroborates another. By creating a web of interconnected facts, prosecutors make it nearly impossible for the defense to refute the case without appearing disingenuous. Through relentless questioning, prosecutors pressure Diddy's legal team into revealing weaknesses in their narrative. They also anticipate and discredit potential counter-arguments, leaving little room for doubt in the jury's minds. These tactics are not just about presenting facts, but about controlling the courtroom dynamic, ensuring the defense is always on the back foot.
Diddy Combs expected back in federal court in Lower Manhattan for a hearing set for this afternoon. Combs' attorneys asking to see more evidence that they say is currently in the hands of federal prosecutors. The music mogul is being held without bail following his arrest in September in a federal sex trafficking case. Combs has pleaded not guilty. His trial is set for May. Brittany, how's
The power and control argument. At the heart of the prosecution's narrative is the argument that Diddy wielded his power to manipulate and control his victims. They illustrate how his immense wealth and influence allowed him to create an environment where exploitation thrived. Financial dependency, career threats, and legal intimidation are presented as tools he allegedly used to maintain control over those in his orbit. Prosecutors establish a pattern of abuse, pointing to past allegations that mirror the current charges. By demonstrating a history of similar behavior, they argue that Diddy's actions were not isolated incidents, but part of a broader system of control. This narrative challenges the jury to see beyond individual claims and recognize a deliberate and calculated pattern of misconduct.
You said the police were working with you on this case. You wanted to get the report. We talked about this. You said things were going smoothly, but now it's not. So when did that change?
Last night, actually, I got an email from them, the county, not the city police, that then said I needed a subpoena to get the records, which I think we all know about Freedom of Information Act, which requires a public information be given freely. That's why it's a federal law. So I've never experienced in any situation where I have been told I needed a subpoena to get public information. I was floored, I was shocked, and it was apparent to me that some type of cover-up is going on. The Orinda police are in violation of federal law, and I will make sure if they want to be the next facing a lawsuit, they can be the next.
What exactly is Diddy being charged with?
They recovered surveillance videos, they recovered cell phones, they recovered computers, electronic devices, as well as guns, and of course the baby oil. And all of this.
I've been waiting for baby oil to go back in stock, but
Yeah. Most importantly, what people need to remember is that, look, the feds are going through all of this surveillance footage and they are conducting their investigation, and based on that, they have seen a lot. So in terms of people talking, shut your mouth. You do not know what the feds know. You don't know if you are in those videos. You don't know whether you are a part of these criminal acts. So I would suggest shut it up.
I am seeing all over the internet, a whole lot of people are talking about what they saw at the party, you know, if they worked for him.
Making themselves witnesses.
The prosecution also critiques the entertainment industry for its role in enabling such behavior. They highlight the culture of silence and complicity that allowed Diddy to operate unchecked for decades. By framing the trial as an opportunity to break this cycle, prosecutors appeal to the jury's sense of justice and their responsibility to deliver a verdict that protects future victims. High-stakes witnesses, putting the inner circle on the stand. The trial reaches a dramatic peak as key figures from Diddy's inner circle take the stand. Gene Deal, a former bodyguard, provides first-hand accounts of the mogul's behavior behind closed doors, offering critical insights into the dynamics of power and control. Jaguar Wright delivers powerful testimony about broader abuses within the entertainment industry, adding context to the allegations against Diddy. Her statements not only support the prosecution's case, but also highlight systemic issues that extend beyond one individual.
The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're gonna make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're gonna name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock you.
Let's bring in criminal defense attorney Stacey Schneider. And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise, and they actually named it in the indictment, the Combs Enterprise. And they said that this enterprise consisted of him as the alleged leader, his employees, assistants, staff, allegedly, that were able to procure women and alleged male sex workers to engage in performances for his own sexual gratification. Where it differs from a mob indictment, it has all the elements of putting together this racketeering allegation of all these moving pieces using resources from his businesses. But the fact that this is about an allegation of sexual gratification being accomplished by alleged human trafficking.
Former associates and high-profile figures, including potentially Jay-Z, are also called to testify. Their testimonies add another layer of complexity and drama to the proceedings. Surprise witnesses, introduced at pivotal moments, keep the courtroom and public on edge, ensuring that the trial remains a focal point of media attention. Exposing NDAs and legal barriers. Non-disclosure agreements take center stage as prosecutors argue that Diddy weaponized these contracts to silence victims and suppress damaging evidence. They present efforts to invalidate these NDAs, revealing coercion in their creation. By doing so, they allow previously silenced individuals to testify freely, adding new voices to the case. The prosecution also battles to admit evidence suppressed by gag orders, adding a layer of legal tension to the trial. These efforts not only strengthen their case, but also highlight the broader implications of using NDAs to cover up misconduct.
The last freak off tape that just got sold on the dark net, which I know because I monitor, went for $500 million. It had multiple stars in it. Nicki Minaj, Rihanna, Chris Brown, Justin Bieber, Drake. It was a really interesting night in Calabasas.
Because my next guest just testified before a federal grand jury. He says he was in possession of a trove of digital evidence from Diddy's freak-offs and parties. His name is Courtney Burgess, and he says a friend gave him 11 flash drives that belonged to the late Kim Porter. And if you follow this story, you'll know that Kim Porter is Diddy's ex-girlfriend and the mother of 4 of his kids. On those drives, the witness says 8 videos featured 8 celebrities at Diddy freak-offs or parties. and that 6 were males, 2 were females. The drive also included a manuscript of an alleged Kim Porter memoir, a memoir that her 4 kids insist is fake. Courtney Burgess told his story on a podcast before he told the grand jury today, and after he told the grand jury, and I mean immediately after, he booked it over to my set, and he and his attorney talked to me. I should tell you that he was very limited in how much detail he could go into about his testimony.
Through these arguments, prosecutors exposed the lengths to which Diddy allegedly went to protect his image and silence dissent. This not only bolsters their case, but also challenges the industry norms that enabled such behavior, destroying the public persona, Diddy's image in tatters. Prosecutors dismantle Diddy's carefully crafted public image, contrasting his philanthropic persona with the dark allegations against him. They highlight the hypocrisy of a man who projected an image of inspiration and empowerment while allegedly engaging in destructive behavior behind the scenes. Media scrutiny amplifies this narrative, with prosecutors leveraging public backlash to strengthen their case. They present Diddy not as an isolated figure, but as a symbol of the unchecked privilege that fame and wealth often afford.
This morning, embattled music mogul Sean Diddy Combs will remain behind bars on charges that include trafficking and racketeering conspiracy after a second judge overseeing his federal criminal case denied him bond once again.
The fight continues. We're not giving up by a long shot.
Outside the New York City courthouse, his lawyer defiant.
He believes he's innocent. I believe he's innocent. And we're going to fight this case with all of our might until we don't have to fight any longer.
The judge ruling the bail package presented by Combs' lawyer was insufficient, siding with prosecutors, who called Combs a threat to society, adding there is no condition that would assure that the rapper would not obstruct justice. A major topic of discussion ahead of the ruling, this troubled 2016 video that shows Combs brutally beating his then-girlfriend, singer Cassie, who prosecutors say was attempting to escape from one of Combs' so-called freak-offs, elaborated coerced sex parties that he often recorded.
We are learning in just the last few minutes that a federal judge is now refusing to grant Sean Diddy Combs bail. Instead, he's going straight to jail tonight after Diddy pleaded not guilty to charges of trafficking and racketeering. Want to show you some of these brand new court sketches coming into us, like literally in the last 90 seconds. This is Combs in court after prosecutors arrested him at a hotel in Manhattan. It's where he's apparently been living for weeks, according to what a person familiar with the move tells NBC News. All of it a tipping point now in that sprawling federal investigation into the superstar's alleged years of sex crimes dating back to 2009. As we're just getting in some new and deeply disturbing details about the allegations against him in what looks like a massive criminal operation, allegedly. At least 50 victims and witnesses so far. And at the center of it, these hours and days-long acts known as, in their words, freak-offs that Combs supposedly orchestrated to abuse his victims.
6 celebrities who warned people about Diddy. The last one is beyond everyone's guess. Number 1, Usher. Usher lived with Diddy when he was young, and it was Diddy who led him to see a new world. But now he doesn't want to recall that crazy 90s at all. Usher even said that he would not let his children get close to Diddy. Number 2, 50 Cent. 50 Cent has been at odds with Diddy for a long time, and they have dissed each other on various platforms many times. This time, 50 Cent even directly said that Diddy was going to be doomed and thought that the investigation bureau must have evidence. Number 3, Wendy Williams. Wendy once said on her show that Diddy not only targeted girls, but also might target boys. She said that she had a photo to prove it, but then she was fired by the radio station and she thought it was at Diddy's instigation. Number 4, Rodney Jones Jr. Sure enough, Lil Rod filed a lawsuit against Diddy, which directly confirmed Wendy's suspicion. Diddy denied this accusation, but he seemed to have nothing to say in the face of evidence.
The stark contrast between Diddy's public image and the evidence presented in court creates a devastating blow to his credibility. This narrative not only impacts the jury's perception, but also shapes the public's understanding of the case. The RICO angle, tying Diddy to a broader conspiracy. Prosecutors leverage RICO charges to portray Diddy as part of an organized network of exploitation. They present evidence of systematic misconduct, including financial incentives for co-conspirators and a pattern of witness intimidation. By framing Diddy's actions as part of a criminal enterprise, the prosecution strengthens their case and highlights the systemic nature of the alleged abuse. This angle not only reinforces the gravity of the charges, but also draws parallels to other high-profile RICO trials, adding weight to the proceedings.
What's going on, Jamie?
I don't know. There's a lot going on. A lot of rumors are flying.
The rumors are that Diddy was running some kind of Epstein-type deal where he was filming everybody, right?
That's the rumors. Yeah, I don't know that there's any proof or anything.
Dude, when Homeland Security invades your house, you got problems with dudes with guns and body armor.
Someone said that they weren't there to take stuff. They were there to delete everything. Like the real people that were in there, you know.
Oh,
like
that's funny.
With Epstein.
Oh, that's funny.
Who gonna turn down $50 million? Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling you.
Rapper and music producer Jay-Z has been accused of assault alongside Diddy. But he's not the only celebrity that's facing accusations connected to the Sean Combs sex scandal. I've been reporting this story for a few months now. Let's dive into some of the other notable names that are connected. Oscar-winning actor Cuba Gooding Jr. is accused of groping music producer Rodney Jones while on Combs' yacht in 2023. That's according to a lawsuit filed by Jones. Cuba Gooding Jr. denies the allegations. R&B singer Aaron Hall is accused of assaulting a woman in 1990. The woman filed a lawsuit against Hall and Diddy that alleged that Combs assaulted her first. Both Hall and Diddy deny the allegations. Bad Boy Records producer Harvey Pierre, Diddy, and an unnamed person were sued by Anna Kane, the ex-wife of an NHL player. Kane alleged that the three gang raped her when she was just 17 years old after they trafficked her across state lines in 2003. Pierre denies the allegations. Diddy's son, Christian Combs, was accused of groping and assaulting a woman who was working on a yacht leased by Diddy in 2022. She says she was given a spike shot of tequila and that she told the captain, but that he was paid by Diddy as part of a cover-up. Rapper Young Miami, who once dated Combs, has also been named in lawsuits against Diddy. She was accused of being a part of his sex trafficking operation. Another allegation claims that she harassed a woman who was assaulted and impregnated by Diddy to have an abortion.
The RICO argument is not just about Diddy, but about the broader implications of holding powerful individuals accountable. By tying the allegations to a network of complicity, prosecutors send a clear message about the consequences of enabling such behavior. Emotional impact, closing arguments for maximum effect. As the trial nears its conclusion, prosecutors deliver a closing argument designed to leave a lasting impression. They revisit emotional victim testimonies, reminding the jury of the courage it took for them to come forward. The prosecution frames the trial as a landmark case, emphasizing its broader implications for justice and accountability. They appeal to the jury's sense of moral responsibility, asking them to deliver a verdict that sets a precedent for future cases. By reinforcing the weaknesses in the defense's arguments and highlighting the strength of their evidence, prosecutors aim to secure a conviction. Their closing argument is not just about this trial, but about the broader fight for accountability in the entertainment industry. The trial's fallout beyond the verdict. Regardless of the outcome, the trial's impact will extend far beyond the courtroom. The revelations have already reshaped public perception of Diddy and highlighted systemic issues within the entertainment industry. Prosecutors' relentless pursuit of justice sets a new standard for holding powerful figures accountable. This trial encourages more victims to come forward, challenging the culture of silence that has protected abusers for decades. As the dust settles, the trial's legacy will serve as a reminder of the importance of challenging abuse of power and ensuring that no one is above the law. Whether it results in a conviction or not, the case marks a turning point in the fight for justice in Hollywood and beyond.
Let's continue our attention to a major headline taking place in New York City and the pre-trial hearing continuing on in this Sean Diddy Combs case. A pre-trial hearing taking place some 138 days before trial. Let's be joined right now here on the ground in New York by Fox 5's Lisa Evers. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. What can you tell us about what took place inside that courtroom today?
Well, Andy, everything so far is going very smoothly, but you can be sure that's going to change in the months ahead as they get close to that May trial date. But Sean Diddy Combs got a break today from the dismal lockdown atmosphere of the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn by appearing here in federal court for this pretrial hearing in his federal trafficking RICO case that he can look at and have access to in the jail. The prosecution will most likely be allowed to present that horrific video we all saw of Diddy beating Cassie Ventura in the hotel hallway. Images that many say are impossible to unsee or forget. That video is pivotal to prosecutors who are trying to portray Diddy as a violent man capable of running this trafficking enterprise. It presents a challenge for his defense team, too. Here's what legal commentator and criminal defense attorney Philip Hamilton had to say on the subject. He is not connected with a particular case. Here's his comment.
And if at the end of the day, they don't like your client, maybe they're not listening to your defense because their minds have already been made up. So the defense is certainly going to have to jump the PR hurdle here in order to be able to effectuate what it is that Diddy wants, which is a win. And that in many respects is going to take a lot of energy out of them. But with the defense team that he's put together, I don't have any doubt that they have the competency and the ability to fight at the highest of levels for him.
And he does, Andy, have a very high-powered legal defense team, 5 people in court every single time that we're seeing them, many more behind the scenes. But prosecutors also have a very tough team, top-notch, as well as mountains of evidence. And Andy, one of the other things that's interesting about this is I asked our legal expert, Hamilton, about all of these civil cases that just continue to mount. We hear, it seems almost every week, of a new one being filed. He said that that's bad news for Diddy, of course, because it's distracting him.
This is Sean Combs' third try to get out on bail. Do you think he has a better chance this time around?
So he may, Boris. Good to be with you. And here's why. You heard Elizabeth reference the issue of the recording, and here's why it's significant in terms of its manipulation. Just to reset, the critical to his denial on bail were really 2 factors. The one factor related to him being a danger to the community. The other factor being how he would potentially obstruct witnesses. Now, critical in the prosecutor's arguments at those previous hearings was the fact that there's this tape that everyone has seen, and they said, prosecutors did, that tape was in the context of a freak-off. It was in the context of trafficking. It was in the context of him being violent as it related to that count in the indictment against Miss Ventura, right, who's referred to as victim 1. But here now comes the defense saying, hey, by the way, the prosecution has misled you, court. This had nothing to do with a freak-off, as is alleged, which were the parties that he was allegedly having, that is P. Diddy, with all of these instances going on with coerced sexual activity, etc., had nothing to do with that. It also had nothing to do with trafficking. This was a domestic dispute. Now, it doesn't make the violence in the tape, Boris, any more tenable, right? Violence is violence. It shouldn't have happened, but it gives it context. Now, when you get down to the manipulation of the tape, the reordering of the tape, did you mislead the court? If they did, that's a factual question. A judge won't be too happy.
Wow, what a trial this is shaping up to be. From the prosecution's arsenal of evidence to the courageous testimonies of victims and industry insiders, we're witnessing a moment that could redefine accountability in Hollywood. This isn't just about Diddy, it's about a system that has protected powerful figures for far too long, whether it's the RICO charges tying Diddy to a broader conspiracy or the emotional impact of victim testimonies. One thing is clear, this trial will be one for the history books. And as we wait for the jury's verdict, we can't ignore how this case is already sending shockwaves through the entertainment industry. If you found this video insightful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated on this monumental case. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your take on what might happen next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Stay tuned.